Something is breaking open in the sky tonight. And if you are watching this on April 5th, you need to understand one thing before anything else. What you have been feeling today is not random. The restlessness, the emotions sitting just beneath the surface, the strange sense that something is shifting just beyond what you can see. That is not your imagination. That is the universe moving through you. Tonight, the moon has entered Scorpio, the sun is squaring Jupiter, and a rare comet is crossing the face of the sun. The cosmos is not whispering tonight, it is speaking directly to you. You have been trying to sleep, but something will not let you settle. Maybe it started last night. Maybe it has been building for several nights in a row. You close your eyes and your mind does not go quiet the way it used to. There is a hum beneath your thoughts. Not quite worry, not quite excitement. Something that sits in between the two and refuses to be named. You shift positions. You check the time. You stare at the ceiling and feel the strange weight of a silence that somehow feels loud. And in the morning, even after hours of rest, you wake up feeling like something happened while you were sleeping, like something moved inside you without your permission. You have probably told yourself it is stress. You have probably reached for the most logical explanation available. Too much on your mind, too much to carry, way too many things unresolved. But here is what you need to hear tonight. What is keeping you awake is not a problem. It is a signal. And the difference between those two things is everything. When the moon moves into Scorpio, it does not allow the surface of things to remain undisturbed. Scorpio is the deepest sign in the entire zodiac, the sign of hidden truths, of buried feeling, of everything that lives beneath the version of yourself that you present to the world. And when the moon, which governs your inner emotional world, enters this sign at nearly full illumination, it acts like a light being turned on in a room you have kept dark for a very long time. Things begin to stir, things begin to surface, and the body, which always knows before the mind does, responds by refusing to be still. This is what is happening to you tonight. Your nervous system is not malfunctioning. Your soul is processing something enormous, and it is doing that processing in the quiet hours because the quiet hours are the only time it can get your full attention. The universe has been trying to reach you during the day, but the noise of ordinary life kept interrupting. So now, in the stillness, it is finishing the conversation. There is something else at work tonight as well. The sun is forming an exact square to Jupiter, a rare and powerful aspect that creates an internal pressure, a feeling that something inside you has grown too large for the container it has been living in. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, of becoming, of the version of yourself that exists beyond every limitation you have accepted as permanent. When the sun squares Jupiter, there is a friction created between who you currently are and who you are cosmically capable of becoming. And that friction does not let you rest. It does not allow comfort in smallness. It pushes, it unsettles. It keeps you awake at the edge of something you cannot yet fully see. And then there is the comet, a rare sun-grazing comet crossing the face of the sun today, a celestial event of extraordinary significance. In the oldest spiritual traditions across every culture on this earth, a comet near the sun was never considered ordinary. It was considered a torch, a signal fire lit by the cosmos to announce that something was ending, and something else, something greater, was beginning. You did not choose to be awake during this window, but you are, and that means something. So tonight, if sleep does not come easily, do not fight it. Do not reach for distraction. Lie in the quiet and let the moon in Scorpio do what it came to do. Let it move through you. Let it illuminate what has been waiting in the dark. Because the universe does not keep you awake to exhaust you, it keeps you awake because it has something to give you that can only be received in the silence. The ones who cannot sleep tonight are the ones being prepared for what comes next. You have been feeling things today that you cannot find the right words for. It is not sadness exactly. It is not fear. It is not grief in the way that grief usually arrives, with a clear reason, a clear source, a clear face attached to it. This is something older than that, something wider, a feeling that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time, rising up without warning in the middle of an ordinary moment, while you are driving, while you are making something to eat, while you are looking out of a window at nothing in particular. And for a moment, just a moment, something inside you feels like it is about to crack open, not break, not collapse, but open, like a door being pushed from the inside. You may have blinked it away. You may have told yourself you were being too sensitive, too dramatic, too emotional for no good reason. The world around you does not always make space for feelings that arrive without explanation, so you folded it back up and kept moving. But it came back, didn't it? It always comes back on a day like today, because it is not yours to dismiss. It belongs to something much larger than your personal story. Here is what is true about what you are feeling right now. The moon in Scorpio does not produce gentle emotions. It does not deal in the comfortable, the tidy, or the easily explained. Scorpio is the sign that governs the soul's deepest interior, the place where every unfinished thing lives, every love that was never fully expressed, every version of yourself that you had to set aside because the timing was not right, or the world was not ready, or you simply were not strong enough yet to carry it forward. The Scorpio moon reaches into that place with both hands. And when it finds what has been waiting there, it brings it to the surface whether you invited it or not. This is not punishment. This is excavation. The universe is not flooding you with emotion because something is wrong with you. It is flooding you with emotion because something is right with you, because you are sensitive enough, awake enough, and open enough to receive what most people spend their entire lives building walls against. The feeling moving through you today is not a malfunction. It is a transmission, and it is being amplified tonight by something extraordinary. The sun squaring Jupiter creates an energetic pressure that is almost impossible to contain, a cosmic tension between the self you have been and the self that is waiting just beyond this moment. Jupiter rules everything that is larger than your current life. It rules abundance, expansion, spiritual truth, and the deepest sense of meaning that a human soul can access. When the sun presses against Jupiter in a square, everything that has been too small for your spirit begins to ache. And that ache is what you are feeling today. It is the ache of becoming. It is the pressure of a life that is trying to expand beyond its current edges. Add to this the energy of a comet that reached the sun today, a celestial body burning at the very heart of our solar system, offering itself to the fire in order to either be destroyed or transformed into something brilliant. That image is not separate from what you are feeling. That image is a mirror. You are in your own moment of solar crossing right now. You are in the fire of your own becoming. Often the feelings that have no name today are simply the sound of that fire doing its necessary work. Do not try to translate the untranslatable. Do not demand logic from something that is operating at the level of the soul. Some of what you feel today is not meant to be understood with the mind. It is meant to be felt with the whole body, honored with your full presence, and released with the trust that something on the other side of this feeling is waiting for you. The emotions that arrive without explanation are often the ones carrying the most important messages. You have felt it today, the sense that you are standing at the edge of something, not the edge of something dangerous, not the edge of something to be feared, but the edge in the way that a shoreline is an edge, where one world ends and another begins, where the ground beneath your feet is still solid, but the horizon in front of you is wide open and full of something you cannot yet name. You have felt it in the pauses between your ordinary moments, in the breath you took this morning before you fully woke up, in the split second before a thought arrived, and you were simply present, simply aware, with a quiet knowing that something about your life is no longer quite the same as it was even a week ago. You may not be able to point to what changed. Nothing dramatic may have happened on the outside. No announcement arrived. No door visibly closed or opened. And yet something inside you has quietly, irreversibly shifted. And standing in that shift feels like standing at a threshold. 1 foot in the life you have been living, and 1 foot reaching towards something you cannot yet fully see but can absolutely feel. This is one of the most sacred and least understood experiences a human soul can have. The threshold is not a place of confusion, even though it often feels like one. It is a place of preparation. It is the moment the universe pauses the old story just long enough for your soul to catch its breath before the next chapter begins. And what you are standing in right now, on this exact day, is that pause, that sacred, trembling, necessary pause. The moon in Scorpio is the architect of this feeling. But Scorpio rules transformation at the deepest possible level. Not the surface changes that come and go with the seasons of ordinary life, but the permanent ones, the ones that alter the way you see yourself, the way you move through the world, the things you are willing to accept, and the things you are no longer able to pretend are enough. When the moon transits Scorpio during a waning phase, as it does tonight, still carrying the residual light of the pink full moon that passed just days ago, it creates a corridor, a passageway between what was and what is coming. And sensitive souls do not just sense that corridor intellectually, they feel it in their body. They feel it as a pull, a gravity, a quiet but undeniable magnetic force drawing them forward into something they cannot yet describe. And the sun squaring Jupiter today is widening that threshold with both hands. Jupiter does not deal in small transformations. Jupiter deals in the kind of expansion that permanently changes the scale of what you believe is possible for your life. When the sun, which represents your conscious self, your identity, your very sense of who you are, moves into a square with Jupiter, the universe is essentially holding a mirror up to every place where you have been living smaller than your soul intended. And that mirror does not allow you to look away. Not today. Not with the sky overhead. There is also something about the comet that speaks directly to this moment. A sun-grazing comet does not drift gently through space. It commits. It moves directly toward the most powerful gravitational force in our solar system, and it does not turn back. It crosses the threshold completely and without hesitation, and what emerges on the other side, if it survives, is not the same as what entered. It is brighter. It is more visible. It leaves a trail across the sky that people on Earth can see with their own eyes. That is what crossing a threshold fully and without resistance looks like from the outside. You are at your own threshold tonight, and the fact that you can feel it, the fact that something in you recognized this moment before you even had the words for it, is the most important sign of all. The ones who feel the threshold are always the ones who were meant to cross it. You have noticed lately that certain things no longer feel the way they used to. Places that once felt comfortable now feel slightly foreign. Conversations that once felt nourishing now leave you feeling quietly drained. Habits you have carried for years, the shows you watched, the people you spent your energy on, the ways you used to fill your silence, have begun to feel hollow in a way you cannot fully explain. And what is most confusing about this is that nothing terrible happened to cause it. There was no argument, no loss, no single moment you can point to and say, that is when everything changed. It simply changed, quietly, from the inside, as if something in you made a decision you were not consciously aware of making. You may have wondered if something is wrong with you, while you may have tried to force the old feelings back, to make yourself enjoy what you used to enjoy, to make yourself want what you used to want, to convince yourself that this distance you feel from your former life is just a phase, just a mood, just something that will pass if you wait long enough. But it has not passed. And deep down, beneath the questioning, beneath the mild guilt of feeling unmoved by things that once mattered, you already know why. You're not losing interest in life. You're losing interest in a version of life that was never truly yours. This is what the Scorpio moon does in its waning phase, and it does it without apology. Scorpio is the sign of death and rebirth, not literal death, but the sacred death of everything that has completed its purpose in your life. Every relationship that was built on a version of you that no longer exists. Every habit that was born from a need you have already outgrown. Every comfort that was really just a beautiful, familiar cage. The waning moon in Scorpio moves through your life like a quiet tide, and as it pulls back, it takes with it everything that was only ever meant to be temporary. And what feels like withdrawal, what feels like disconnection, what feels like a strange and sourceless grief, is simply the sensation of that tide doing its necessary and ancient work. This is not emptiness. This is clearing. And there is an enormous difference between the two. The Sun squaring Jupiter today adds another layer to this experience that is important for you to understand. Jupiter rules meaning. It rules the deep, a orienting sense of purpose that makes ordinary life feel worth living. The feeling that what you are doing matters, that where you are going is real, that the effort you are putting into your days is building toward something worthy of your soul. When Jupiter is activated by the Sun in a square aspect, everything in your life that lacks that meaning becomes suddenly, almost painfully, visible. The meaningless rises to the surface not to discourage you, but to be released. Jupiter is not showing you what is hollow in order to leave you there. It is showing you what is hollow so that you stop pouring your precious energy into it and begin redirecting that energy toward what is real. And the comet crossing the Sun today carries the same message in its own ancient language. A comet that grazes the Sun must shed everything that cannot survive the heat. It enters that proximity carrying one version of itself, and it emerges, if it emerges, fundamentally changed, stripped of everything that was not essential, and blazing more brilliantly than it ever did before. What you are shedding right now, what's falling away from your daily life without drama and without a clear explanation, is everything the universe knows you no longer need for the journey ahead. The withdrawal you feel is not a closing. It is a consecration. The universe is setting you apart, carefully, deliberately, and with enormous love, for something that requires a version of you that has not yet been fully born. And that version cannot be born while you are still holding on to every comfort of the life you are leaving behind. What is falling away from you now was always meant to fall, and what is coming to replace it will feel more like home than anything you have ever known. Beneath everything you have been feeling today, there is something else, something quieter than the restlessness, something deeper than the unnamed emotion, something more patient than the sense of standing at a threshold, and more tender than the withdrawal from everything that no longer fits. It is not loud enough to demand your attention the way the other feelings have. It does not arrive with urgency or with weight. It arrives in the spaces between, in the moment just after a long exhale, in the stillness that follows a wave of feeling, in the brief and luminous pause between one thought and the next. And if you have been still enough today, even for just a moment, you have felt it. It feels like something pressing gently forward from the inside, like a seed that has been waiting in frozen ground and has finally, quietly, felt the first warmth of a season changing, like a word that has been living at the edge of your awareness for a very long time and is only now beginning to find its way to your lips. It does not feel dramatic. It does not announce itself, but it is there. And some part of you, the part that has always known things before you had the language for them, recognizes it immediately, recognizes it the way you recognize something you have never seen before, but somehow always knew existed. This is the feeling of something new trying to be born inside you, and it is the most important thing happening to you tonight. Every other sensation you have moved through today, the sleeplessness, the unnamed emotion, the threshold feeling, the quiet withdrawal from what no longer fits. Every single one of those experiences was preparing the ground for this moment. The universe does not break things open carelessly. It does not flood you with feeling arbitrarily. It does not strip away the familiar and hollow out the old without a precise and loving intention behind every single movement. What has been happening to you today, all of it, has been the careful and deliberate work of a cosmos that knows exactly what it is doing and exactly why it chose you to receive it. The moon in Scorpio tonight is not only a moon of endings and excavation, it is, at its deepest level, a moon of resurrection. Scorpio does not simply destroy, it transforms. It takes what has died, and from that death, it draws something that could not have existed any other way. The depth of what you have felt today is directly proportional to the magnitude of what is being prepared inside you. The deeper the feeling, the larger the thing being born. And what you have felt today has been very deep indeed. The sun squaring Jupiter tonight is widening the container of your life whether you asked it to or not. Jupiter does not make things larger gently. It makes them larger completely, suddenly, and without negotiating with your fear first. What is expanding inside you right now is not something you manufactured through effort or discipline or the careful management of your own becoming. It is something the universe planted in you long before this moment, and has been quietly growing toward this exact configuration of sky. You did not create it, but you simply became ready enough to feel it finally pressing against the surface of your life, asking to be let through. And the comet, that extraordinary ancient burning traveler crossing the face of the sun today, carries the final piece of this message. It has been moving through the darkness of deep space for longer than any human mind can truly comprehend. And today, on this exact day, it reached the closest point to the light it will ever know. It did not arrive at that moment by accident. It arrived because the arc of its journey was always leading there. And so did you. The arc of everything you have lived, every loss, every ending, every version of yourself you had to release in order to become who you are sitting here tonight, was always leading to this moment of proximity to something greater, something brighter, something that will define everything that comes after. You are not at the beginning of something ordinary. You are at the threshold of the version of your life that your soul has always known was possible. The restlessness was preparation. The emotion was excavation. The threshold feeling was orientation. The withdrawal was consecration. And this quiet, persistent, unshakable sense of something new pressing forward from the deepest place inside you. This is the arrival. You have been feeling it before you had the words for it because you were always meant to feel it first. The chosen ones do not wait to be told that something has changed. They feel it in their bones long before the world catches up. And tonight, under this sky, something has changed. Something inside you has crossed a threshold it can never uncross. Something that was sealed is now open. Something that was silent is now beginning, very quietly, to sing. Do not look for it with your eyes. Do not try to hold it with your hands. Simply be still enough to let it rise. Because what is breaking open in you tonight is not a wound. It is a wing.